Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to 10 News at 2. I'm Robin Wilhoit. Lots to get to today. Beginning with Governor Bill Lee, he wants to expand the school voucher program in the state, making it available to tens of thousands more students. Lawmakers are in Nashville right now taking up that effort and are coming up with ways they would like to see that plan expand. So we will be talking with 10 News reporter Ellis Rold, who is covering that story for us today. Also, hundreds of thousands of dollars raised in the Knox County elections, specifically for the race for mayor and for sheriff. We are going to be digging into how they are raising that money, how they are spending it. This as early voting is now underway in Knox County. We will get to both of those stories and much more coming up. But first, to your forecast, Mike Simon joining us on this Wednesday afternoon. Another warm, we were talking before we went on air, possibly getting close to those records today.
Oh, that's right. And good afternoon. Yes, today we could get up to a record high. It's 87, and we're predicting 85. So each day over the next several days, those temperatures are in the middle to upper 80s. So each day we're going to be close to the records. Saturday, the record is 90. Can you believe that? It's been 90 before this early. Well, 88, we have a chance to make a run at that. I know, it's so hot. Not only that, it doesn't help that we're so dry. And, we got a couple of chances of rain. Tomorrow, 30% chance possible. But they're going to be spotty, lighter showers. It's a front that's washing out as it comes in, so it weakens. But the next front is a little stronger. You can tell by the temperature
Yes,
change.
That's a welcome change right there. 60s and, 38. I am seeing that right.
That's right. So we have a possibility of some frost those mornings. I know you think about it. Almost 90 on Saturday, then what? Frost possible Monday and Tuesday morning. That's just crazy. But the temperatures do come down to 60s. Better chance of at least a quarter to half an inch of rain, hopefully.
That's good.
Saturday night going into early Sunday morning. Now, Sunday's not completely spoiled, but at least we're getting some of that rain.
Okay, that is music to my ears right there. Mike Simon, as always, thank you. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Governor Bill Lee, he is pushing to expand the school voucher program in its second year. In the first year, the state handed out 20,000 vouchers to students, each voucher totaling $7,000. That's essentially public dollars going toward private tuition. Lawmakers are now in Nashville taking up this effort. I spoke with 10 News reporter Ellis Rold earlier today, and she expounded on their efforts to expand the school voucher program in Tennessee. Take a listen. Ellis, thank you for being with us. Let's dig in further where things stand now for this possible expansion of school vouchers. Yesterday, action in the state capitol.
Yes, Robin, thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
We have done a lot of coverage about vouchers over the last year or so, and it's been, a really hot topic on both sides of the aisle. And now the state legislature is talking about an expansion. Last year, we knew that 20,000 school vouchers were funded, so that means vouchers are going to 20,000 different students across the state. Governor Lee wanted to increase that number to 40,000 vouchers this year. Now, there's a lot of math and a lot of numbers, so just try to stay with me, but the bill last year that was passed with the 20,000 vouchers had essentially an automatic increase that this year the number would be raised to 25,000 vouchers, right? So in Governor Lee's proposal for 40,000, if you look at that 25 to 40, that's about a $15,000 or 15,000 scholarships increase.
In addition.
Yes, exactly. And those 15,000 additional scholarships would cost about $113 million more.
In addition to what they currently fund for that program.
Correct. So that was the proposal, right? A lot of Republicans who are supportive of this plan say, it gives parents access to school choice. It creates more competition between schools to be better, things like that. And then a lot of Democrats who I've spoken with both are critical of the cost. They don't want public dollars going to private schools where there's not as much government oversight. So those are kind of the numbers from the original proposal. But you mentioned what happened in the House yesterday. So the House passed their version, which they essentially concluded they want to have 35,000 vouchers maximum.
And
right?
it's taking down the governor's by 5,000, essentially.
Exactly. So when you put in the provision that it would have increased by 5,000 already, that's a 10,000 voucher increase.
Right.
Okay. So there was also some other changes, but I think the main focus is these numbers, right?
Right.
So today, the Senate, the state Senate, is going to discuss their version of the bill, right? And so they're still looking at that original 40,000 raise. But because, and this is kind of what just happens in local government, right? Or any government that you look at, it gets complicated and everyone has to review things and it takes time. If the Senate passes their version today, the House is going to have to approve it, and then it'll go to Governor Lee. So it's not necessarily if the Senate passes this afternoon that it's going to Governor Lee's desk.
So this is not going to be decided today, one way or the
Most
other.
likely,
So let's talk about the supporters and the critics of this bill. You have spoken to one, a Democrat, Gloria Johnson. What are her red flags?
Yes. So actually right before this, I spoke with Representative Johnson. I'm talking to Senator Briggs later this afternoon. Gloria Johnson says, there needs to be, when you think about tax dollars, and we think about this all of the time with our coverage, if you're a public official and you take taxpayer money, you are under more of a microscope, of course, than a private citizen. She is talking about kind of that same rule should apply here, that now these private schools are getting public money and the state government doesn't have control over what happens in the private schools, their curriculum. Private schools can turn away students that don't have high enough test scores, whereas public schools take in every student. So her main concern, besides the cost, of course, is that public money is now going to a curriculum. I don't know if that's the right word. It's going to a program, I guess, that the state does not have control over.
And we were talking about this before you came on. The testing of these students who are within this voucher program, it could possibly change depending upon what lawmakers land on, which would not make it apples to apples for kids in public school and kids in private school under the voucher program.
Yes. So during my interview with Gloria, she mentioned last year when the voucher program was first introduced, public school kids and private school kids both took TCAP tests, and that's how you could kind of compare, okay, are the kids in these private schools getting vouchers? Are they performing better? Are they performing the same, or are they performing worse? And we've reported on this. A lot of schools were the same, and a lot of schools were actually worse.
Exactly.
So that is, of course, another big point of contention.
So you're not going to be able to really get a true assessment then if this does indeed happen.
Right. And so one of the changes Gloria was talking about is that now with this new proposal, private school kids, they will still be taking tests. They will still be taking state tests, but it's different than what the public school kids will be taking. And so her argument was that it's going to be challenging. It's not the same test.
Yeah.
So you can't compare the scores in the same way. And she argued that it's another layer of accountability lost for these public dollars.
So there are the critics, but of course there are the supporters.
Absolutely.
And we have those who are getting behind this bill, both in the House and in the Senate. And it really does center a lot around they believe a family should have a say in the education their children get.
Right. And I think what we have heard really over the last year or so from Republicans in Tennessee is that, you hear about school choice. It's a school choice program. It gives parents, like you said, more say over where their kids go, and it can help families who maybe need a little financial help get their kids into a private school. And there are cases where that's true, and there are also cases where that's not necessarily true. And we've reported on that, where families who were able to pay for private school before are now using the vouchers and basically getting a discount. But Republicans say, it can give, or supporters, I should say, it gives students better options if you are in a county where you don't like the public school in your county, you can then elect to send your child to a private school and get some financial help with that. Another argument I've heard from supporters is that it creates a sense of demand or competition, I should say, around schools, that if there is a school, a public school that is performing poorly, and now parents have a choice whether or not to send their child to that school, and parents start to send their child elsewhere, that it will, in a way, motivate that school to improve. Exactly.
Yeah.
So those are what we hear from supporters. And of course, being in Tennessee, we have a lot of lawmakers who support school vouchers.
No doubt about it. So bring us up to date. They are going to be meeting, the Senate meeting today at 3:30 Eastern time. From that point, tell us how what we can expect later today in your reporting.
Yes. So we will be chatting with Gloria Johnson, Senator Richard Briggs, and then I will be monitoring those meetings throughout the afternoon. And hopefully my story airs at 5 and 6. We have some sort of update based on what the Senate discusses and decides or possibly votes on before end of day today.
All right. Ellis Rold, thank you very much. We appreciate you. And stay with us. Coming up, we are looking at the war chests of candidates running for Knox County Public Office. We'll be right back. Early voting is underway in Knox County, and the candidates are raising a lot of money. They are spending a lot of money. We're going to dig into the candidates leading up to Election Day, which is May 5th. Joining me, we always appreciate John North here to give us a perspective. Of course, he is our chief investigative producer, also a co-host of our public affairs show, Inside Tennessee.
Happy early voting day.
Yeah. Are you planning on voting early?
I'm going to vote Saturday. That's when I usually vote. I like to go down to the city county building on Saturday. It's quiet. I get in. Depending on which party you're joining, it could be a lengthy ballot. So there's a lot there to consider.
Yeah, folks need to probably take a glimpse of the ballot online before they head that direction. But I'm like you. I'm an early voting kind of gal.
I love it.
Let's talk about
Sure.
the races upcoming too that have been really grabbing attention in Knox County, the race for mayor and the race for sheriff. Let's talk about the money they have raised. This is a lot of money for these local races.
It is a lot of money. I want to go back, note to self, go back and look at 2018, which was the last time we had
I'll
a
write
really
that down for
competitive
you.
race. Yes, please. Thank you. On my list, but there has been a lot of money that's been raised. I think at least $600K has been raised, probably more than that if I went even further back. Candidly, a lot of the coal in the engine of that spending is from Larson J. He has spent early, often, and frequently, and still has a pretty large kitty from which to draw. He announced in the summer, I think it was, of 24, that he was going to be running for mayor and put a big old pot of money on the table and said, here's what I got right now. And it really hasn't shrunk. Unlike our checking accounts, his really hasn't shrunk.
Yeah, it's. I don't necessarily want to peek into mine these days, but let's talk about the other candidates. Betsy Henderson, the other Republican, as well as Kim Frazier, a Republican. They not raising as much.
Not as much, but certainly competitive, and they're in the game most definitely. If you look around at all the ads that are out there, whether it's yard signs or we were talking off air, we're seeing a lot of ads that are being taken on our streaming platform, which is great.
Let's talk further about the way people are campaigning.
Yeah.
Streaming, was that a thing? The last big election?
I don't remember that it was. No, I think that's great. It's fascinating because what has seemed to be the case, at least where I live, is I used to get a ton of mailers.
Yes.
And obviously they would pick up right before early voting started. And that's fine. I like them. They're great visual aids that you can wave around on Inside Tennessee or here with you and me. I haven't gotten a single mailer from any candidate yet. I don't know about you, but I'm seeing some yard signs, and as you said, I'm seeing a whole lot of like social media-oriented ads.
And I'm getting, I don't know about you, but I am getting a lot of texts. As a matter of fact, today, 1, 2.
Really? Wow.
3. Just today.
Wow.
From local candidates. So texts, streaming, I am getting some brochures in the mail as well. So, we always say, or candidates always say, the best way to get out there and in front of them is door knocking.
Yeah, that's where you're really going to sort of establish a relationship with somebody. I have been impressed. I've lived in the same North Knoxville neighborhood for a long time. I'm always impressed when a real live candidate comes knocking on the door. It doesn't happen as often as it should. By the way, did you get the text that says, don't let Democrats choose our candidates? Vote in the Knox County Republican Party primary.
No, I did not.
Well, I got that one. But I haven't gotten any of the 3 from individual candidates.
Well, I have I've gotten a plethora over the last couple of days. It wasn't really even just today. It seems last week I started... Who's that text from? I had no idea.
Yeah.
And sure as the world, it's a campaign ad. Let's talk about the race for sheriff real quickly and the money raised in that contest.
I think I did the math. The deadline for candidates to file disclosures was last Friday, and they trickled in Friday and then over the weekend and I think Monday. That's a race where you've had probably close to $250,000 spent so far. A lot of this race really heated up starting in about January. You had some people enter, and you had people really start politicking in earnest. Of course, we lost one candidate. That was Bernie Lyon. He passed away. He had a lingering illness in, I think it was December. But, yeah, that's you're looking at roughly $250,000. And, again, the reporting period that you and I are talking about right now just goes through the end of March. So dollars being spent today on April 15, we don't know what that is yet. You can bet it's a lot because as the poker game gets closer to a conclusion, that's when people start shoving their chips in, and that's going to be happening over the next, until we get to May 5.
And it'll be interesting, as you said, to be able to compare from years past. But for local races, of course, they're big races. You would not, though, expect this massive amount of money being raised for these local races.
Yeah, well, I don't suppose anybody's found the magic bullet that's cheap to sort of make an impact.
Yeah.
And we're always sort of looking for that, but the dollar amounts aren't going to go down. They'll just keep going up until they finally find a way to find some free way to make an impact.
Yeah. And I guess in these days it's kind of hard to find those free ways. Let's talk about a situation involving some of the candidates in the race for mayor and endorsements. There are some people of note who are throwing their endorsements out. There are others who are not.
That's right. I always chuckle when we come down to the days right before voting starts because the camps get sort of clever, critics would say a little misleading about messaging and what have you, but you're right. There have been some endorsements. I'm not going to name who has been endorsed by whom. If you search the various candidates, you will see what they say about endorsements they got. One person that's not endorsing, which is significant, is Glenn Jacobs, whose term as Knox County mayor is coming to an end. He served 2. He's term limited.
Has he in the past endorsed?
That's a great question. I don't know that he has.
I don't
That's
know
a great
either.
Other than Marcia Blackburn, I don't know that he's really gone out and done that. But we did get an email from one of the campaigns this week touting that they had gotten Tim Burchett's endorsement. Tim Burchett, who used to be Knox County mayor, was a state lawmaker, is now in Congress. What that was driven by was Burchett put up a video, one of his folksy, I'm sitting on the porch, hey y'all dadgum, talking to you, videos talking about the candidate that he was going to endorse. One particular mayoral camp jumped immediately on that and said, oh, he's talking about us. And some of the press, because we sort of have to sift through all of that and listen very carefully. And by the way, voters, it would behoove you as well to listen very closely to the language that's used and what people say versus what maybe is factual. But members of the press had to sort of sort through that to determine, well, who did Tim Burchett really endorse a specific person? You know, they played a little bit of games. He said, I'm for the person who takes a pledge about not raising taxes. By the way, a lot of the video, he touted what a great job he did as mayor, which is fine, because he is running again for office. But what he said was taxes is the issue. Vote for the candidate that carries the torch of no new tax increases. He also talked about paving roads when he was county mayor. Well, costs money to pave roads, and if we're going to pave more roads in Knox County, that's going to cost more money. But anyway, one particular camp then landed on that and said, oh, he's endorsing me.
And he has since, we reached out to see if indeed that was the case, and he responded essentially saying this, the congressman, this is from his spokesperson, congressman has not made any official endorsements. The video is his statement.
Yeah, it's all fine and good. Again, you know, if you've lived in Knox County for any amount of time, you know politics and things start heating up and people get cute and get coy, and you can derive from that what he said and what the video says however you want to, but he's not making any official endorsements.
Any predictions about turnout?
I think it's going to be pretty good.
Yeah, just given the races for mayor and
I think it's
sheriff.
going to be significant. I'm not going to like put my car on it or anything because I like my car.
Yeah,
but
you've got a really cool car.
Well,
A couple of cool cars.
But you know, I do think that it will be good. I think it will be encouraging as opposed to some other races that we've had in the past. And I would remind people watching us and listening, as I know that you have and we do on Channel 10 all the time, it is incredibly important that you vote because a race can be decided by this many votes. And in fact, in 2018, right at this time of the year in 2018, the race for Knox County mayor was decided by a handful of votes.
Your vote matters.
Absolutely.
All right. John North, we always appreciate
Pleasure.
you. Thank you.